This is the luxury world. Get inspired with us today and tomorrow as the luxury watch market continues to evolve in 2025. Several underlying shifts are redefining how value, desirability, and availability are perceived, especially within the Rolex ecosystem. In this video brought to you by the luxury world, we will take a closer look at the macroeconomic and strategic forces shaping this transformation. Heightened transatlantic trade activity between the United Kingdom and the United States has emerged as a major factor influencing pricing and supply channels. At the same time, Rolex's Certified Pre-Owned or CPO program is beginning to reshape how authenticity and resale confidence are approached in the secondary market. Meanwhile, the trajectory of key Rolex models is no longer following past patterns, with notable performance shifts occurring in the pre-owned space. This comprehensive analysis aims to illuminate the critical trends influencing market behavior, offering insight into how collectors, investors, and enthusiasts are responding to a new era of luxury timepiece dynamics. Subscribe to Luxury World for continued access to curated commentary, investment insight, and expert guidance tailored for collectors and enthusiasts alike. In 2025, the global luxury watch industry operates within a complex framework defined not only by heritage and design, but by trade policies, market decentralization, and shifting collector psychology. While geopolitical forces and taxation structures continue to impact the movement of timepieces across borders, the watch world has reached an inflection point where consumer strategy, rather than brand marketing, dictates the pulse of the market. One of the most pronounced dynamics this year is the evolving significance of the transatlantic trade corridor between the United Kingdom and the United States. Despite lingering controversy over the tariff structures introduced during the Trump administration, the UK remains a favored sourcing hub due to its relatively low 10% US import duty on timepieces. In contrast, various European nations impose levies and taxes that can reach up to 30%, significantly inflating the final purchase price for international buyers. Even within the UK, however, tax implications are nuanced. Dealers operating under the VAT margin scheme calculate taxes based only on profit margins rather than full sale prices. This structure eliminates eligibility for traditional VAT refunds, which can limit perceived value for some buyers. Nevertheless, the UK's logistical and financial efficiencies continue to attract global clientele, particularly American buyers who benefit from rapid fulfillment timelines, full insurance, and seamless customs documentation. The average delivery window for UK to US shipments remains impressively short, often within 2 to 3 business days, positioning the region as a primary node in the gray market's infrastructure. The rise of the gray market as a credible and often preferred acquisition channel reflects growing dissatisfaction with AD practices. Long-standing frustrations, ranging from enforced bundling and opaque waitlist protocols to inconsistent client treatment, have catalyzed a widespread migration toward more transparent and accessible alternatives. Timepieces that once required boutique relationships or year-long waitlists are now available, unworn and often accompanied by third-party warranties from gray market vendors at competitive prices. Where once the gray market bore the stigma of being a last resort, it has now become a standard pathway for collectors seeking both availability and flexibility. The velocity of this transformation reflects broader changes in luxury consumption. Immediacy, transparency, and perceived fairness now outweigh institutional prestige. In response to gray market dominance, Rolex introduced its Certified Pre-Owned program as a strategic defense mechanism. The goal was to create an authorized resale channel that preserved brand integrity, assured authenticity, and restored some control over pre-owned inventory, backed by official servicing and a Rolex-issued certificate. The CPO initiative was framed as a safer, more reliable alternative to third-party sales. However, the program's performance has fallen short of expectations. Its primary challenge is pricing. CPO watches often list significantly above their gray market counterparts, sometimes even exceeding the retail price of brand new models offered by independent dealers. While the added cost was intended to reflect trust and provenance, it has instead alienated value-driven buyers and deterred repeat purchases. Furthermore, the assumption that purchasing CPO would elevate a buyer's profile with authorized dealers has proven inaccurate. Engagement through the CPO program offers no guarantee of improved access to sought-after models and thus lacks the incentive necessary to justify its premiums. As gray market listings for the same models continue to decline, many now trading below retail, the CPO proposition increasingly struggles to maintain relevance. Instances of notable depreciation further expose the weakness of the model. In one case, a buyer who acquired 2 CPO Rolex watches attempted a trade-in within 6 months, only to discover a combined loss of over £10,000. Such outcomes highlight the financial risk associated with brand-authorized resale, particularly when resale values fail to align with elevated acquisition costs. The Rolex market, while resilient overall, is no longer a monolith. Performance among references in 2025 varies significantly, with clear divergence between collector favorites and niche experiments that failed to sustain momentum. Within the underperforming segment, the Yacht Master series, especially the Oyster Flex variants in 40mm rose gold and 42mm white and yellow gold, has struggled to gain traction. Despite high-quality materials and modern design, these references now sit below retail, often in the £24,000 £26,000 range, with slow turnover. Their lower profile compared to staples like the Daytona or GMT Master 2 limits aspirational appeal. Similarly, the GMT Master 2 Sprite, distinguished by its green and black bezel and left-hand crown, experienced a steep fall from its early hype, initially commanding upwards of £20,000. Current listings hover around £13,000 to £15,000. While production remains relatively low, the unconventional design has not resonated with the broader collector community, many of whom continue to prefer more balanced and familiar references, such as Batman and Batgirl. The Air King remains a polarizing figure within Rolex's professional lineup. Although discontinued models and unworn conditions can fetch close to £6,000, growth is constrained by limited mass appeal. The instrument-style dial and aviation heritage attract a niche following, but fail to ignite broader enthusiasm. The Marmite effect remains strong. Collectors either embrace the model or dismiss it outright. These underperforming references underscore a key reality. Not every Rolex benefits from universal desirability. The market is increasingly driven by consistency, legacy, and value retention rather than novelty or aesthetic experimentation. The evolution of Daytona pricing in 2025 illustrates the recalibration of a once hype-driven category. Among the most prominent examples is the yellow gold Daytona, known as the John Mayer 2.0, defined by its green dial and champagne subdials. At its peak, this model reached nearly £90,000 on the gray market. Today, prices have stabilized near £60,000, still above retail, but far from speculative highs. The correction signals a maturing market less willing to entertain unchecked premiums. Likewise, the turquoise Tiffany Daytona and Oyster Flex followed a similar trajectory. Launching at an extraordinary £110,000, the model quickly fell into the £80,000 range and continues to decline, with expectations of reaching the high £70,000s. Despite its unique aesthetic and initial buzz, the reference has succumbed to changing sentiment around exclusivity and long-term value. In contrast, the Daytona Meteorite series, produced in white, yellow, and rose gold, has defied the downward trend. These references command between £75,000 and £80,000, driven by rare dial materials and limited production. Among them, the white gold variant is particularly sought after, though yellow gold continues to appeal to traditionalists, and rose gold to those favoring modern refinement. The success of the Meteorite Daytona signals a return to fundamentals. Collectors are prioritizing material value, rarity, and design integrity over fleeting hype or influencer-driven desirability. Pricing strategies have also matured, with dealers basing listings on verifiable sales data rather than speculative demand. Contrary to the narratives predicting collapse, the Rolex secondary market in 2025 reflects an industry undergoing a necessary transformation. Price corrections, far from signaling weakness, represent a natural recalibration following years of inflated speculation. Many references continue to hold substantial premiums above retail, while others are reassessed through the lens of practicality and long-term ownership. Models like the Sprite and Air King serve as cautionary tales, reminders that even under the Rolex banner, success is not guaranteed. Meanwhile, the continued strength of selected Daytonas and the durability of the gray market indicate that collector demand remains healthy, albeit more selective and informed. What are your thoughts on the current state of the luxury watch market and the trends discussed in this video? We would love to hear your perspective. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments and give the video a thumbs up if you found it insightful. Do not forget to follow Luxury World for more curated content on fine timepieces and market insights. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to welcoming you again in our next video.